Now, the moment I said hello, I could hear it in his voice. He was completely broken. He was going through a major crisis in his life, crying, confused. And now he was just looking for someone to talk to, someone to hold on to, someone to share his trouble, someone who'd listen to him. And in that exact split second, I had a choice. What I did, if we are being brutal, it was an act. I was pretending to fit a professional room or business environment is a bad thing. I just want to deconstruct your mind that when you hear the word pretending, it should not always mean that it's a negative thing. Don't let anyone shame you for packaging yourself or putting on a show where it matters, because it matters. First impression matters. Keeping it real, enough you pay your bills. This is not what they'll teach you in school. Eye service is a good thing. It's a basic life hack.
Hey, refined one. If you're listening to this right now, that means you have a hunger for something real, not surface level motivation, not an empty advice. You want something that actually shifts how you see yourself. And this is exactly where you need to be. Welcome to the Morning Gear Podcast, Nigerian's mindset podcast for Gen Z. And I am your host, the Gen Z educator, Divine Daniel. If you're returning, welcome back. And if this is your first time, I'm glad you found us. But before we get into today's conversation, I have a very honest request from you. Number 1, subscribe to this podcast. On YouTube, hit subscribe. On Apple Podcasts or Spotify, hit follow. When you do that, the algorithm takes this conversation to more people who need it. And trust me, there are people out there who need exactly what we are about to talk about today. Number 2, like this episode. On YouTube, hit the like button. On Spotify, leave a 5-star rating. On Apple Podcasts, you can drop a review. That one action tells the world that this conversation is worth having. Number 3, drop a comment. Tell me where in the world you're listening from. Tell me what's on your mind. Tell me what you'd want us to talk about. The Refined Gen is a community, not just an audience. And communities talk to each other. We are building something real here. And I look forward to having you with me over and over again on the Morning Gear Podcast. Now, let's get into it.
I'll be telling you a quick story, and I want you to be really honest with me if you've ever faced this before. Last week, I was having a really terribly rough day, and I'm talking about the kind of day where you are at your lowest, 0%, zero energy. You are stressed about your own life, about your bills, about your goals, about school. You just want to, lock up. Put your phone on DND, though my phone is always on DND and stuff like that, and just disappear, and you don't have strength for anybody. You do not have strength for anybody. And right in the middle of that mood, your phone rings. So while I was at that mood, while I was in that frame of mind, my phone rings. And it was a close friend. So normally I'd probably just turn my flight mode on immediately, like ASAP. I do that a lot. So if I see a call that I'm not wanting to respond to, I don't like to put myself in this spot where I am not ready to answer you. So I would normally just turn my phone on flight mode immediately. But then that was normally what I would do. Now, the moment I said hello, I could hear it in his voice. He was completely broken. He was going through a major crisis in his life, crying, confused. And now he was just looking for someone to talk to, someone to hold on to, someone to share his trouble, someone who'd listen to him. And in that exact split second, I had a choice. Now I was thinking, do I keep it real with this nigga and tell him oh my guy, I'm depressed too. You know that I am depressed. Please leave me alone. Or do I switch? So I sat up. I cleared my throat. I decided to switch and put on this big, energetic, reassuring, thing, this facade. Even though I was sitting alone in the dark, I completely changed my vibe. For the next 1 hour, I was hyping him up. I was giving him hope. I was listening to him. I was laughing with him. I was playing with him. I was, being that friend who listens, being that friend who reassures him, gave him the 101 positive energy until he felt better. And, eventually we came to the end of the call and he hung up. And guess what? The very second that call ended, the smile vanished. He vanished like he didn't die. He vanished like he didn't die. And I just lumped back to my bed and was really completely drained. Now, let's talk true too. Let's have a true talk. What I did, if we are being brutal, it was an act. I was pretending. I felt like garbage inside. I was not feeling good. But I packaged myself to look like a motivational speaker for my friend, right? So let me ask you, would you call this eye service? Because I was literally pretending, pure pretending. But do you think this is bad? I believe you don't think it's bad. I believe you don't think it's bad. So if we don't call this specific pretending bad, if we call it love, if we call it empathy, if we call it maturity, then why do we need, or why do we turn around and think that pretending to fit a professional room or business environment is a bad thing, where you're being a deceiver, or some people call it thin? In Nigeria, the moment you package yourself for a specific space, people automatically call it eye service or hypocrisy. You are being a hypocrite. But today, I want to challenge that perception, that narrative. Let's rewrite that narrative. Let's deconstruct that narrative. I want to challenge what they already taught you in school. And I believe by the end of this episode, you'd see reasons why eye service is not a sin, but it is a basic emphasis on basic fundamental life hack that every adult should know. And it is called contextual intelligence. Now, let's look at it from a different angle. If you do not relate with that kind of scenario, let's bring it to a very lower level. If we are being honest with ourselves, sometimes, normally for me, I don't like shoes. I don't like wearing shoes. I prefer clogs. I prefer half shoes. I prefer wearing slippers, and stuff like that. But for some reasons, just there are certain environments you cannot enter. So I have to pretend like I like wearing shoes and I wear it. Will you call it eye service? No, you won't. Most of you want to wear pajamas and go to church. You want to wear pajamas and go to your place of work. Some ladies, they don't even like to wear bra. Honestly, sometimes I want to free ball. I don't want to wear boxers, right? I just want to pull on my trousers and walk out. But because of the kind of society or the kind of environment you find yourself, you cannot be able to do these things. So if we are being basically honest with ourselves, we are pretending. Yeah, we are pretending. Now, would you call this kind of pretending bad? No, you will not call it, because there's nothing bad about it. So this brings me to a famous Bible verse we always quote without even thinking about it. Matthew chapter 5, verse 16. Matthew chapter 5, verse 16 says, "Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good work and glorify your Father which is in heaven." Think about it for a second. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works. Look at that scripture very carefully. It said, let. It did not say, hide your light in your bedroom and hope that the universe tell people. It said, let your light so shine. Let. Ginwa. You will use your hand and let that light shine. You're not letting it shine inside your house. Now, you have potential. Your capacity, your wisdom, your knowledge, your charisma is so good, but they only know it inside the house, inside your room. It not say let that light shine inside your room or inside your parlor. He said, let your light so shine before men, plural, men, that they may see your good works. If you did not let that light shine, how would they see your good works? How would they see your good works? And if you are letting that light shine, you're actually pretending. I will let you know why it's pretense. But now, it does not mean it's a bad thing. So I just want you to deconstruct your mind that when you hear the word pretending, it should not always mean that it's a negative thing, right? We all pretend, though there are bad pretentious ways. But in this light, eye service is not a bad thing. Eye service is not a bad thing. Eye service is a very popular phrase in Nigeria. And most people has a negative interpretation of it. And this negative interpretation, right? It became bothersome to me. I was reading a book where the writer was talking about it this week. And that's why I decided to share it in this podcast. Because I was like, this man, you're thinking alike. Sometimes I wonder, God, how did you create somebody like me? Because the type of knowledge that is in this head, oh my God, it's innate. It's not something I learned. It's something that, follow come. I didn't have to struggle to learn it. Yet, this thing I call really basic life knowledge, a lot of people don't have it. That's why I'm trying to share it. So you have it. It's basic. This thing I'm teaching you now, nobody has taught me in my whole life. But I just had this understanding of it. So it really bothers me when people call it negative, have only negative perception of eye service. Pretense is one of the basic skills that we require in adulthood. For instance, I like to stay alone. I like to be alone. I like to be by myself. I would say I'm an ambivert. But when I go to spaces that requires me to be extroverted, I switch. The word itself is literally commanding you to manage how people perceive you. If we're looking at it from that Bible verse, it's literally commanding you to manage how people perceive you. I literally tell people that the way you tell your story is the way people are going to perceive it. If I tell you a story, this story I told you now, you're only seeing the story from my own point of view. The way you let people see you, that's how they perceive you. So it is your duty to manage how you are being perceived. Value that is hidden, it does to help anybody. So let's look at this from everyday life. Nobody actually likes wearing tight leather shoes. Like I've said this before. Some people don't like ties, choking ties. Left for some people, hagagboto. Naigiri. I don't know if I spoke that well. That's for some people that we, But then, if it was less for you, you attend high-level meetings in your slides. Some people corset. Ladies, corset is not comfortable. But you want to give a perception. Is that not pretense? Is that not eye service? But you still do it anyway. Why? Because you understand that the room you are walking into has a code. And by adjusting how you look, you are strategically managing their perception so you can get what you want. This is a life hack. I was arguing with my brother. No, I was speaking with my brother, my twin brother, and he asked me a question, which I'm going to kind of address in the course of this podcast. I thought about it. So he asked me a question that, okay, how do you know where to show yourself and when not to show yourself? Because he has observed me for quite a while now. We're in the youth choir in our church. Do you want to know the church I attend? We're in the youth choir in our church, and I've been in the youth choir for almost 3 years now. I'm quite influential. I have a certain level of influence, but I do not hold any leadership position in the youth choir. I'm known in the States, even up to the national level, but I do not possess any form of leadership quality and position rather. Now, if you ask some people, they may think I'm a leader. So we had a crusade recently, and he was appointed to carry out this certain kind of role. And, because of that, they've been having this leaders meeting and all that. And he's been asking me, Divine, come now. They will not pursue you. So why are you not going? Stuff like that. I say, am I a leader? No, I'm not. So I think he has been thinking about this. Why am I not trying to show myself? Because now, the same thing that's not trying to show myself in this youth choir, when we went for SM First Abuja first volunteer meeting, I made sure I made an impression. And I'm not going to lie. For my dressing, I took my tripod. Because everybody's going to SM First Abuja as themselves. Everybody's struggling to gain attention. What made people turn their neck and look at me? I needed to stand out. The way I dressed was intentional. I wanted to depict the Gen Z educator vibe. So I was showing myself, I was recording, I was taking videos. I was trying to caught attention. It is not a bad thing. There's a difference between seeking attention and cutting attention. I caught them like mad. Through the way I speak, through the way I carry myself, through the way I dress. So I feel he saw the contrast and was asking me, wait, how do you know where to show yourself and when not to show yourself? It depends, because look, in some instances, when you try to show yourself in that kind of light, you appear to be desperate. Sometimes you create enemies you never needed to create. But in some instances, the Bible says, the kingdom of God suffered violence and the violent taketh it by force. You take it by force. You let that light shine. So now, the real secret is not just doing eye service. It's knowing where and when to let that light shine. And it comes down to a time frame. It comes down to, a time frame. So, like I said, it comes down to a time frame. And personally, I call this the time frame rule of eye service. Now, there are different ways to identify when to show yourself and when not to show yourself. But personally, I'll just tell you about 2. Now, you have to ask yourself, is this room a sprint room or a marathon room? Now, since you've understood that there are certain places you need to show yourself, like let's say seminars, workshop, probably volunteering, probably you are, in the circle. So how do you know when to show yourself, not to appear desperate, not to create enemies? I don't know. If you read the book 48 Laws of Power, it says never outshine your master. So there are certain scenarios or situations whereby you need to kind of shrink yourself, even though you know that you are good. You need to shrink yourself. Not, to avoid creating enemies that you're not supposed to create. I feel this hack kind of covers. This is what I deciphered on my own, no? But I feel it kind of solves a huge amount of this problem, right? Knowing when and when not to show yourself. So you have to ask yourself, is this room a sprint room or is it a marathon room? Now, I said the time frame rule of eye service. That's what I called it, the time frame rule of eye service. Now, rule 1, that is the sprint room or the sprint method, right? Let's say you are a volunteer for a 3-month project, or you're at a networking event, or in a room full of CEOs and collaborators that you only see in a limited time. When the clock is ticking, humility is a liability. If you have 3 months or 3 days in a room with decision makers, you do not sit quietly in one corner waiting to be discovered. Nah, they will not discover you. You will not be discovered. You speedrun the trust process yourself. You need to command your attention through your dressing, through your posture, through the way you speak, through your voice, your absolute excellence. And this can only be done by people who have already cultivated value for themselves. And that is why I will always say there's no such thing as an opportunity. There is only a possibility which was made an opportunity through your already established hard work, consistency, determination, resilience. If you are not a person of value, then you cannot do this, right? Because you have to control the perception. You have to control the narrative. You have to cut the attention through what you already are. You have to turn the volume up all the way because you don't have time to be shy. Now, volunteering, we'll be having our next meeting in like the first Sunday of July. We're having our second meeting rather on the first Sunday of July. And in the first meeting we had, first Sunday of June, I made an impression. I'm the only guy in front desk team for this year of volunteers, right? The previous year, SM Fest 2025, there was only one guy, Mr. Barnabas. In this year, there's only me, Divine. I did not talk, but believe me, the team lead of front desk has piqued an interest in me. Her name is Fine Seed, her nickname rather. And actually, she's a fine seed. I love the name so much that let's continue. But yeah, I did not talk, but she has piqued an interest in me. And it was not coincidental. It was really, really strategic. I'm really strategical about my relationship and places I go. If people like me, if people genuinely like me, it is not by chance. It is something that I have put myself to do. If I don't want you like me, you will not like me. A lot of things are entering my head now. I do not want to drift. But let me just say this. Now, what people say about you don't really matter. But what some people say about you really matters. It matters the kind of people that like you. So you have to actually learn the act of being liked, of being likeable by people. Just hold that as an additional message. You have to learn to create strategic relationships and be liked by strategic people. Everybody don't need to like you, but the people that matter need to like you. So like I said, I've really created an impression. And that was strategic. And that happened. In fact, after they finished everything, after our meeting that day, she was like, this boy, you have something to say. I've been watching. You have something to say. You better say something, no? I was like, no, I don't really have anything to say. But believe me, it was strategic. Sorry for this, promo. Let's call it break, but God too much. God did a lot of work in my head. Imagine the kind of knowledge in my head now. I'm really, really psychological. I call myself a natural psychologist. Now, imagine I go to school and get skilled in this gift. Hey, hi, what I will do. But yeah, you have to understand the kind of place you are in and how long you have to be in that place. Then you know how to act. When you are in a place that have a short time frame, you do not wait to be discovered. You cut the attention. You don't seek it. You cut it. How do you cut it? Try to stand out with the way you dress. Try to stand out with the way you speak. Try to stand out with the way you carry yourself. Try to do something differently. Try to court attention, not seeking it. They are two different things. But now, if you are in a scenario where you are in a long-term workplace, in your church choir, in your community, where you know you are going to be present there for years, if you use sprint energy here in a marathon environment, that is Rule B, the marathon method, right? So if you use sprint energy here in this marathon environment, you look desperate and you will breed massive resentment from people. So in a long-term space, eye service changes entirely. You let your value be perceived. You don't show it now. Now you don't let this light so shine before men. Now you let that light wait and let men come and find that light. You get? In a fast-paced scenario environment, you have to let that light so shine before men. That is the only way they are going to see your good works. But in a long-term environment where you have to stay for years, you have to sit back, you have to observe, you have to learn, and let men perceive that light by themselves. If not, you look desperate and you breed resentment, breed enemies. You don't need to shout to be heard in places like that because you are consistent there, and consistency always speak for you, right? So these are the two ways I feel you'll be able to know where to show yourself and where not to show yourself. Remember, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good work. Don't shrink yourself. So here's my challenge to you. Before you step out into any room, look at the clock and ask yourself, is it a sprint or a marathon? Then you cut your coat according to the time you have in that room. Don't let anyone shame you for packaging yourself or putting on a show where it matters. Because it matters. First impression matters. Keeping it real. Enough you pay your bills. This is not what they will teach you in school. I'm giving you free knowledge. If you keep it real, it's not going to help you. You have to learn the rules of the room and play the part when the lights are on. And use perception to build your real identity. Let your light so shine before men. Just make sure that you are not blinding people holding the keys to your kingdom. So even though you are letting that light so shine before men, make sure you are not blinding the people that are holding the keys to your kingdom. So you have to apply wisdom in everything you are doing. If you are to refer to the 48 laws of power, it says, do not outshine your master. I think that was rule 1 or rule 2. And there's also a rule that says, court attention. When I read this, I think I read this book years ago, like 5 years or more than 5 years ago. I was reading this book and I was like, God, too much. Because everything you're saying in this book is what I already have knowledge about, weirdly. So, if you don't know how to dress well today, dress well. I went ahead to tell my brother, why do you think people wear watches that do not work? Why do you think people wear earphones, like earbuds? It elevates their look. There are a lot of things people do. You are in charge of how your story is going to be perceived. And this does not have to do in physical life. Even online, social media, you are the one engineering that perception. The way they perceive you, it's in your power. It's your power to command it. It's your story to tell. So you can actually drive perception in any way. If you want them to look at you as a rich kid, depends on the way you position and carry yourself. Do you get? So this is a skill they don't teach people in school, but I decided to give people free knowledge. Today, if there's nothing that will enter your head today, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works. This is actually the bedrock of everything I'm telling you now. But even though you are letting that light so shine before men, know when it will shine and know when you should off it small or reduce the brightness so that you don't blind the people's eye because it is shining too much. You are a light. You have potential. You have charisma. You have a dream. There's nobody like you. You are absolutely unique. You have personality. You have a bright future. But then, wisdom is profitable to direct, right? So even if you are letting that light so shine, be careful. Because some people have insecurities. If I was to talk about my boss have insecurities. My ex-boss rather. You do not have to show yourself too much. If not, especially in a work environment, you have to have the knowledge of knowing where to show off and when not to show off. Because if you show off where you're not supposed to show off, do you know what happened? They start withdrawing you from participating in most things. So I say, okay, this way feeling like you know too much. Probably in my own scenario, I'll make sure this boy does not go for major works anymore. Because if I go for major work, I'm going to learn, I'm going to get better, I'm going to make sure you're not going to major work. So they kind of they have the power to halt your growth, right? So when you are in such situations, learn the wisdom of knowing when to show yourself and when not to show yourself, and who to show yourself to and who not to show yourself to. People will talk. Learn to know who matters in that room and learn to build strategic relationship with who matters. Not everybody is going to matter to you. It's not a bad thing, right? You have to know value and perceive. You have to have self-awareness of where you're going to and know what matters. Know why you are in that room in the first place. And because you know why in that room, you would know what to do. And I believe by everything I've said, I've been able to convince you that eye service is a good thing. Though you have other vices. But genuinely, eye service is a good thing. It's a basic life hack. And now, don't go. I believe by everything you've learned You have a circle of friends. You have a circle of people you love. Share this podcast with them. Share it with them. Because what I just gave you now, a lot of people don't really know it. A lot of people don't really know it. If my brother could ask me this question, I should tell you that a lot of young people do not really have this knowledge. And how do you expect to grow when you do not know when to show yourself? Because time and chance will happen to everybody. Time and chance will happen to everybody. It's if you are already prepared to grab this time and chance when it happens. If you are prepared for the time and chance when it happens. And you cannot be prepared when you don't even know when to let that your light to shine. Because when time and chance happen, that is when you are to allow your light to shine. I'm still talking. But yeah, don't listen and pass. Don't listen and just go out. Share this episode on your WhatsApp status. Probably share what you learn. Share it with a friend or two that you genuinely want to have this knowledge that you are building with. Share with your work colleague. Invite people to listen. Eye service is not a bad thing. Eye service is not a bad thing. I'm Divine Daniel, the Gen Z educator. Now, do well to like the podcast. Do well to follow us on Instagram at the Morning Gear Podcast. Do well to join our community, the Refined Gen community. The link is in the description. Like I said, do well to follow, rate the podcast, share with friends, and God bless you. I'm Divine Daniel, the Gen Z educator. Don't thank me, but outgrow me and stay refined. Ciao.